Good morning, students. Today we shall discuss the socket programming concept in Java. So why we need socket programming? Let's say we have machines, let's say we have a client machine and a server machine. To connect server machine and the client machine, we need sockets, right? So to connect these two, we need to have the Java code written so that these two will be connected and we will be able to communicate. That means the server and the client will be able to communicate with each other. So that's where we need socket programming. Now consider that here I have taken only one client, right? That means to connect to the server, to the okay. Now what if I have client? So if we have two clients, there will be two sockets at the server side. That means n number of, let's say, that means n number of clients wanting to connect to the server, there will be n number of sockets at the server side and there will be one socket at each of these clients. Now who is responsible for creating these sockets? See, whenever there is a request coming from the client to the server to establish the connection, there will be one socket that is responsible for these sockets. That means whenever a client sends a request for connection establishment to this server, it the goes to the server socket, and server socket responds back by creating a socket for this particular client. Similarly, if client 2 wants to establish the connection with the server, it has to send the request, the request goes to server socket and server socket creates a socket for client 2. That means that how many number of sockets the server is going to establish. That depends on the number of clients that have requested for the connection establishment, right? So it is based on the number of requests that it has got from the clients. That means if we have, let's say, 200 clients requesting for the connection establishment, then there will be 200 sockets created at the server side, and who will do that? That is the responsibility of the server socket. That means at server side there are two types of sockets. One is server socket and other one is the regular socket. That means the server socket will create sockets for each of these clients. And then we have many classes that are available in java.net package, which will allow us to communicate. We can write the code which can establish the connection between the client and the server, and it will allow us to send messages from client to the server, and any interactions that they need can be done easily using those classes and methods available. So let's see how we can do that. So before we begin with, so let's see what is network programming. So network programming refers to writing programs that execute across multiple devices, in which the devices are all connected to each other using a network. And coming to what is socket programming in Java. Socket programming is a way of connecting two nodes on a network to communicate with each other. So that is what we have seen over here. We saw that there is a client and a server. To establish the connection, we need sockets over here. So one socket listens on a particular port at an IP, while other socket reaches out to the other in order to form a connection. So what is this port and IP now? So why do we need that? See, we know that there are billions of servers that exist, and how do we know that this particular client wants to establish with a connection with one specific server? We need to know the address of that server, isn't it? Right? So if this client wants to connect with this server, client should know the IP address, that is the unique address of this machine, that is this server, and also the port number. So what is this port number? See, there may be many applications that are running in the server. It is not that there is only one application. For example, if you have a Tomcat server or MySQL running in your machine, that means there are two applications. Let's imagine that you have two applications running. So each of these applications will be running with one specific port number. So similarly here, this server may be having multiple applications running parallelly. So it is necessary that the client should know the port number, that is the application with which it wants to connect with, isn't it? So there may be application 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Suppose client wants to establish connection with the application number 4, which is there in this particular server. So what is required here? Client should know the IP address of this server, because there are billions of servers. So with which server we want to establish the connection? So that is necessary. We need to know the unique address of this particular server. So that is what is the IP address. So once we know this IP address, we need to connect with which application. As I mentioned, there may be application 1, 2, 3, 4 that are running. Right now we want to connect with application number 4, which is running in this particular server. So we should know the port number of that application number 4. That means we are specifically connecting with application 4 of this server. So that is what is the port number. That means whenever a client wants to send a request for connection with the server, there are two things that client should know. One is must. So that's what is mentioned over here. So one socket listens on a particular port. That means server is listening on a particular port. Suppose there is one application for which the client wants to send a request for connection establishment. So that server socket will be constantly, continuously it is listening. It will keep waiting whether there are any requests coming for the clients. So once it gets any request, then it will create a socket for that particular client. So that is what we have seen. So if we have 100 clients and all these 100 clients send a request to the server, the request goes to the server socket, and server socket will create those 100 sockets each for these clients. So at the client side, client should know the IP address and the port number of the server with which it wants to get the connection established. Fine. Now there are two types of Java socket programming, that is connection oriented and connectionless socket programming. So socket and server socket classes are used for connection oriented socket programming. So if we want to implement connection oriented socket programming, we will be dealing with two important classes, that is socket and server socket. So for and for connectionless, that is datagram socket and datagram packet classes are used for connectionless socket programming. Okay, so if it so first we shall discuss what. So we have seen server, because whenever these two machines want to connect with each other, we need sockets at both ends, right? So at this server socket is responsible for creating particular client. Similar, right? So how this can be implemented? That is using socket classes provided in java.net package. So we need to import those packages and these classes so that we will be able to implement the concept what we have discussed so far. So this is about socket programming. So you can see that we have a client which sends a request to the server and the response is sent back to the client. So the server forms the listener socket while the client reaches out to the server. Socket and server socket classes are used for connection-oriented socket programming. So what exactly is socket? What is the definition of socket? So we have seen that to connect with each other they need socket, right? So what is the formal definition of this? A socket in Java is one endpoint of a two-way communication link between two programs running on the network. So a socket is bound to a port number so that the TCP layer can identify the application that data is destined to be sent to. So we have seen that the port number, the server will be listening at those particular port numbers. So client should know the application or the port number at which it wants to establish the connection with the server. So what is an endpoint? So we saw that in the previous slide here in the definition of the socket. A socket in Java is one endpoint of a two-way communication link. So what is an endpoint? Endpoint is the combination of IP address and a port number, right? So the package in the Java platform provides a class socket that implements one side of a two-way connection between your Java program and another program on the network. So now the point is, how does client communicate with the server and how the server responds back? So we have two things to be written, two programs to be written, one at the client side and the other at the server side. So at client side, in the case of client side programming, the client will first wait for the server to start, right? See, unless the server is running, the client cannot send any request, right? So first server should start and client keeps waiting for the server to start. Once the server is up and it is running, it will send the request to the server. That means client will make sure that server has started. Only then it will send a request to the server. After that, the client will wait for the response from the server. So this is the whole logic of the client and server communication over here, right? So first thing, client is waiting. Once it knows that the server has started, it will send a request to the server. And then client is still waiting. It is waiting to get the response from the server. So this is at the client side. So in order to initiate the client request, to follow these steps. So first we need to establish the connection. So to establish the connection, the very first step is to establish a socket connection. So a socket connection implies that the two machines have information about each other's network location and the TCP port. And you can create a socket with the help of the server socket class. So I will just write it over here. So what we need at the client create a socket, we need to establish the connection. Fine. So we this is how we create objects, right? So this is the create an object of a class. So here we are creating object. Right. So what is creating socket at the client side? I told you that client should know the IP address of the server and the port number of the application, right? Otherwise, how you can establish the connection? Because there are many servers, we want to communicate with which server, we should know about it, right? So to do that, we should know the IP address of the server with which we want to establish the connection. So those two, this is the application, that is with any specific application that you want to connect with, because server will have many applications running parallelly. So you want to establish connection with which application in the server, that also you should specify. So when what is the IP address, the port at which that particular application is running. Fine. So this is what is there in the slide. The first argument represents the IP address of the server and the second argument represents the port, that is TCP port. So once you've established this connection, next step is communication. So in order to communicate over a socket connection, we need streams. So streams are used for both input and outputting. So after establishing a connection and sending the request, you need to close the connection. So the socket connection is closed explicitly once the message to the server is sent. So here is a sample program that I have written here. This is at the client example. So first what we need to do, we need to create the object of the socket class. So that we have done using socket s equals to new socket, and here we need to provide two parameters. One is the IP address and the second one is the port number. So if you are running the client and the server on the same machine, then you can just write it as localhost over here. So if you are connecting two different machines, so suppose this is your client and this is your server, then at the client side when you are creating the socket, you should provide the IP address of the server. But right now in this particular example, we are assuming that we are considering that both client program and the server program, both these applications running on the same machine. So the IP address is localhost. That means this first same machine. Then coming to port number. So the port number on which the server application is listening, to that port number you have to specify. Here I have taken it as 8089. So whichever is the port number that you have mentioned at the server side, that you need to specify. Now in this particular example, I am just trying to pass on a message from client to the server. That is, the message is hi. So I have taken a string variable MSG and I have assigned the word hi to that message variable. Now, in order to send this data, in order to send or receive the data, we need IO stream. So, here we need output stream of the socket. See, every socket will have two things, input stream and output stream. So, output stream is associated with what you are sending through the socket, what you are sending to other machine through the socket, and input is what that socket is getting from some other machine. So, there will be two streams associated with every socket. Now, since I am trying to pass a message from client to the server, so this is and hi message to. So when this receives the screen monitor, so whatever it has received from the client should be displayed on the screen. That is what is the scenario that we have implemented over here. So as I mentioned, socket will have two things, that is output stream and input stream. Since client wants to output something over here, the client wants to send something, we need to get the output stream of the socket. What is S here? S is the socket that we have created here. Socket S equals to new socket, all this we have done, right? So, using that socket object, we are calling a method, that is get output stream is a method. So, what it will do? It will get the output stream of the socket. And then we are using our wrapper class over here, that is output stream writer class. So what it will do? It will take the characters into bytes, and then we can write that message using the write method. That is, OS is the object of output stream writer, and then we have the write method call using which we can write it to the stream. So where it will go? When we do that, OS dot write message, it will be sent to the server. It will be written in the output stream of the socket, and it will go to the input stream of the socket at the server side. And after that, we need to close the stream. So that we can do using OS.close. Okay, before we proceed further, we need to know the range of the port numbers. Here I have taken the port number as 8089. See, randomly I have considered, but port number ranges from 0 to 65535. That is, port numbers ranges from 0 to this, and 0 to 1023 are reserved port numbers. See, among these 0 to 1023 are reserved port numbers. So you cannot use these port numbers. So please remember this. Don't use any port number which falls in this range. Though we have so many port numbers available, you are not supposed to use these because they are reserved port numbers. and you can just try using any other port numbers. So if that port is already busy, it will give you some errors. Then you need to change the port number over there. So far we have seen client-side programming, how to write the client-side programming. Now, let's see the server-side programming. So what we require at the server side? See, at the server side, it will be waiting for the client request, isn't it? Server will be waiting for the client request. So who will do that? There is a method called as accept. So it will accept if there are, it will accept the request if there are any requests from the client. So at the server side, we need to have two sockets. One is a server socket. That server socket object is responsible for creating the sockets whenever it receives any request from the clients. So basically, the server will instantiate its object and it will wait for the client request, and once the client sends the request, the server will communicate back with the response. So in order to code the server side application, you need two sockets, and one is server socket which waits for the client request, and a plain old socket for a communication with the client. So once you establish the communication, then establish the connection, then you need to communicate. So get output stream method is used to send the output through the socket, and similarly we have get input stream method which is used to receive the input, and then we need to close the connection. So it is important to close the connection by closing the socket as well as the input output streams once everything is done. So remember that once you write all the code, last one to write is the close method. So here are the server socket class constructors. We have different types of server socket constructors. Based on your requirement, you can use the suitable one. The first constructor type is, you can see that the server socket which is taking one parameter, that is port number, right? So it attempts to create a server socket bound to the specified port. An exception occurs if the port is already bound by another application. So I mentioned that suppose you have written the port number at the server side as 8080. If that 8080 port number is already taken by some other application in the server, it will definitely throw an error exception, right? So it throws an exception, so you need to handle that. And there is a second type of constructor, server socket constructor, which takes two parameters, port and the backlog. This is similar to the previous constructor, and the backlog parameter specifies how many incoming clients to store in a wait queue. Okay, so when there are multiple client requests, so it specifies how many incoming clients to store in the wait queue. And then we have the third type of constructor which takes port number, backlog and the INET address as the parameters. So this is similar to the previous constructor. The INET address parameter specifies the local IP address to bind to. So the INET address is used for servers that may have multiple IP addresses. So that allows the server to specify which of its IP addresses to accept client request on. So this is necessary if the servers have multiple IP addresses. So accordingly you need to choose which constructor you will be using at the server side to create the server socket. But these are different variations we can have. And then we have this fourth type of constructor wherein it doesn't take any parameter. You can see that it is empty pair of parentheses. So it creates an unbound server socket. When using this constructor, use the bind method when you are ready to bind the server socket. Okay, so these are the different variations. And now, so far we have seen the methods of server socket, the constructors of server socket class. Now let's have the look at the methods which we can have with server socket class. There is a method called as getLocalPort. So what this getLocalPort method does is, it returns the port that the server socket is listening on. So this method is useful if you passed in 0 as the port number in a constructor and let the server find a port for you. Okay, so server will find a port for us if you are using this getLocalPort. And then we have accept. See, this we will be using this method. Why we use this accept method? See, when the client sends the request, so who will take care of that request? So this is done by the accept method. So it waits for an incoming client. This method blocks until either a client connects to the server on the specified port or the socket times out, assuming that the timeout value has been set using the setSoTimeout method. Otherwise, this method blocks indefinitely. So this accept method at the server side is required because it will be waiting for the client request. And then setSoTimeout. So we have just now discussed about this, and we have the bind method also. It binds the socket to the specified server and port in the socket address object. So use this method if you have instantiated the server socket using the no argument constructor. So we have seen 4 different types of constructors. So there was one type of constructor wherein we did not pass any parameter, right? So that was the 4th type that I have just shown you in the previous slide. Only empty parentheses were written. So if you are using that type of constructors, then we need to use this bind method. Similarly, we have many other socket class methods, like we have the connect method. This method connects the socket to the specified host. So this is needed only when you instantiate a socket using the no argument constructor. And then we have getInit address. So this method returns the address of the other computer that this socket is connected to. And then we have getPort, which returns the port the socket is bound to on the remote machine. And then getLocalPort, it returns the port the socket is bound to on the local machine. Similarly, we have methods like getInputStream. So this is very important. We will be using these getInputStream and getOutputStream methods. GetInputStream returns the input stream of the socket. So I mentioned you that socket will have 2 streams. It is associated with input stream and output stream. So if you are calling this get input stream method, it returns the input stream of the socket, and the input stream is connected to the output stream of the remote socket. See, always at the, suppose here at the client side, so this socket has output stream and input stream. Similarly, at the server also, the socket will have these two streams, that is input. So if the client wants to send some message to the server, so this socket at the client side will be sending that using the output stream of the socket, which will socket at the server side. Similarly, if the server wants to send something back to the client, it has to send it through the output stream of the socket, that will be connected to input stream of the socket at the client side, right? So that is possible using these methods, get output stream and get input stream methods. And finally, we have this close method which closes the socket, which makes this socket object no longer capable of connecting again to any other server. So once you are done with everything, you need to close the streams and also the connection. So here is our server program. In the previous slide, in one of the previous slides, we saw the client-side programming, and this is the server-side programming. As I mentioned, we need two types of sockets at the server side. One is the server socket and other one is the plain socket. So first we have to create the object of the server socket. Server socket is the name of the class, SS is the name of the object, and look at this, 8089 is the port number. That means this server socket is listening on the port 8089. Okay, so as I told you, it should not fall in this range. You can take any other port numbers other than 0 to 1025, any number. But if this what is that number that I have taken? Okay, 8089. If it is already being used by some other application, then it throws an exception. Then you need to change the port number and see whether it works for you. So here I have taken it as 8089. That means right? Suppose make connectivity server, we need socket at the client, so we have already written this. So once it sends the request, when it sends the request to the server, it should know two things, right? One is the IP address of this server and also the port number. That means it wants to connect with application 3 of this server, not with any other applications. That is what is the port number, right? So it has to send those two things. So suppose the port number 89. So what server socket will do? Your server socket at the server side, it is listening for the client request, and once the request is sent, it will create a socket for this particular client. It will create this. Alright. So similarly, this application will have a different port number, this application will have a different port number. So every application will have different port numbers. So now this server is using this particular port number for this particular application. Correct? So that is mentioned when you are creating the server socket object. And we have seen that there are different types of constructors we can have when we instantiate server socket objects, right? So here we have just used the port number. So once you have the server socket object, it has to wait for the client request and it should accept those client requests. So that is done using the accept method. So here socket s equals to ss dot accept. Does SS is object. So using that server sockets object, we are calling this accept method. Fine. So what is the job of the accept method? It has to wait for the client request, and when it receives the client request, it has to create a socket. So that is done over here. It is creating the socket. See, SS is object. Correct? So this server sockets object is going to accept the request from the client and it will create a socket object. I hope this is clear, right? So after that, we need to have the input stream. See, in this particular example, I told you that the client is sending a message hi to the server and server has to display that on the monitor. This is the simple exercise that we are doing. That means client has sent the message through the output stream of the socket. So at the server side, the socket should be ready to receive, ready to get the input. Alright. So we need to create the input stream. We need to create input stream of the socket. So that we do using get input stream for the socket S. And then we are using the wrapper class, that is input stream reader, and then to convert input stream to string, we are using the buffered reader class, because we want that in the form of a string, not in the raw or the low level data, right? Because what we get through input stream reader is the low level data. So that has to be converted to string. That is the stream to be converted into a string. So to do that, we are using the buffered reader class and we are passing the stream, that is the input stream reader object as a parameter. And then using the read line method, we can read the string. And then that string is getting printed over here. Right? So what all we did? At the client side, we created a socket and we wanted to send the message to the server. So we got the output stream of the socket, and then using the write method, we sent it to the server. and then we closed this socket. And at the server side, we need to have two things, two sockets. The server socket, which is responsible for accepting the request from the client. So that is done using the accept method. So once it gets the request, it has to create the socket. That is done using the socket class, that is socket s equals to ss.accept. Once we establish the connection, the next step is to establish the communication. So after connection, we need communication. So to make this communication happen between clients and server, we need the stream. So what type of stream we need over here at the server side? The client is sending through the output stream. So server has to receive that. That means it has to get the input. It has to get the input. So we need to create input stream of the socket. So that we did using the get input stream, and then we use the wrapper class input stream reader, and then to convert the input stream to string, we use the buffered reader class. And once we get that buffered reader object, we can call this readline method, which will get the message in the form of string that is getting printed over here. That means system.out.println will print the message on the screen, right? So that is what we wanted here in this particular example. So this is the simple example of how to establish the connection between the client and the server, and how to create these streams input and output, and then after the communication is over, we need to close that. See, in this particular example, I have not used the close, but that is must. Once we are done with this, we need to close the streams as well as the connection using the close method. So this is a simple example. We can demonstrate that using the Eclipse IDE. So here we have the client program. So I have written the client program, and similarly we will have the server program, and then maybe in the next class we shall see how this actually works. See, whenever we have client and the server, make sure that you first run the server program, because server should start first and then client will be able to send the request. So whenever you have client and server programs here, first you run the server program and then run the client program, then it works properly. So this implementation we will see in the next class, and we will do some modification to these. So this is one-way communication what we have seen so far. That is client sending message to the server, and server is just displaying that message on the screen. What if the server also sends back something back to the client? That means two-way communication. So how to do that? So that also we can see it in the next class. So this is all for today's lecture. We have seen what is socket programming and what are the different classes that are available in the java.net package, and what are the different types of constructors and methods that we can use in Java to make this socket programming possible. So please go through the content what I have shared today. Next class we will implement this, and